Hi, welcome to OSL Podcast. That's what I'm calling this now. So, I've been granted a strange and unusual opportunity in the fact that I work night shift now. And that means a couple of things. Firstly, I have a really weird sleep schedule, so I'm trying to deal with that. But also, I have, on days that I do not work or nights that I do not work, long extended periods of time that I am alone in my room with few people that I know to interact with. So, there's a couple of things I can do with this opportunity. The first thing, and the thing that I usually do, is game, and not much else. But, every once in a while, I remember that I'm trying to work on a really, really big project that's a real pain in my ass, but that I do care about and do want to work on and do want to improve at. So, tonight, I was like, okay, I'm going to negotiate with myself, because I know that's a thing you can do. And you got to figure out a balance between the short-term desire and the long-term desire. That those are things that matter. And that's complicated. But basically what I did was, hey, I really like the wider camera frame, even though it's taking up such a small part of the screen, like that I have room for my hands now, my gestures. That makes me really happy. But I was like, okay, here's a great deal for you. You're going to love this. An hour of gaming. A whole hour. But we do 20 minutes of work on OSL. Fair? Fair. So I did my hour of gaming. I'm like, fine, I'll do the writing. So I go to write, and my brain farts like it always does. And I'm like, oh, you know the thing that caused all of this to happen? The reason why I care so much about this is that I keep watching videos that have things that inspire me to write about these things and try to convey these ideas to other people in a concise way that melds all of these ideas together. Maybe you should do that. Maybe watch the things that inspired you to do that and figure out where it ties knots to do other things. Because when I watch or listen to these videos, I'm usually not in places where I can really focus on them, number one, and number two, actually write down the things that I think about them that connect to other things. Because, like, here's the thing. I've watched way too much YouTube. My average on my phone used to be, like, 10 hours a day on average. And then it went down to, like, 8 and 6. That's still a lot. That's still a high majority of the day. Turns out, point being, I have a problem. But the other point being is, I'm just going to block out my camera so I don't draw behind this, is like, okay, I watch a video. I'm like, oh, cool. All right. And then I watch this other video, and then I watch another video. You guys get how thought webs work? Basically, I'm watching all of these different videos. I'm like, hey, this idea has kind of an idea like this one. Oh my gosh, this one kind of looks like this one. And oh, there's a similar concept over here. And soon, I really got a problem on my hands, because soon I start looking like those crazy people in movies that's like, it's all connected. It's all connected. But also, it's kind of all connected. Like, what the fuck is going on? And this isn't just, like, conspiracy theory stuff. It's like, oh, like, suffering is a thing. Figuring out what you control and don't control is a thing. Figuring out how emotions and ego and thoughts play into all of this. Realizing that other people also are focusing on their life through the journey of their life, and you are in context of that to them and realizing that your bubble of experience, all of the things that you've experienced, is not omnipotent. And that, like, you're not more superior than other people is. It's a good thing to learn, all in all. And I'm still learning that. By working on this project, it's compounded that for me. And so it's a real internal conflict. But it's one I care about doing anyway. Because I believe that if there's something that I truly believe that helped me be less of an asshole and a better person and happier, that it is a behoovement of me to share those things with other people. I think that makes sense, right? Like, good thing, share. Simple enough. But that's very different than running up to every single person on the street and being like, hey, fuck everything that you know and believe. Here's the answer. And that's wrong for two reasons, which is like, yo, they have a life and experience and a lot of reasons to believe the things that they believe, even if they're wrong, even if I'm wrong. They still have this bubble of experience that is different from mine. And I do not have a way. I don't have a way to know which one's better or worse. Or, like, more true or more whatever. Part of the project is differentiating true and useful and being like, hey, you don't know a lot of this. But if you know the goal, if you know what you're trying to move towards, then through that information you can determine what's useful to reach that goal. And so if I compile all of the tools that have been useful to me through all of this garbage, all of this, the meta-narrative of the life of me being addicted to YouTube, and compress it down into a smaller version of what I used to call the obelisk. It was like 10, like, these tools are important. It's like, okay. But there's also, like, a weird conflict, like a conflict of interest, because, like, these tools, these fundamental principles are useful to me, but to any given person, only like 10% of them are valuable, right? So, like, so let's say that there's like 100 problems that you can have, just to be real simple with it. Is like, okay, there's 10 problems going this way and there's 10 problems going this way. I know how to do math, okay? But let's go like 50. I got all these problems in my life. I got these 10, right? And then this person comes along and they have these 10 problems, which means that we really only overlap with this problem. It's very oversimplified. I hope I represent my point, though. Also, I just realized that... Oh, fuck. My fucking... How do I draw that? This logo which I am very happy with. Look at that. TNU. But the thing that's really cool about it is that it's like it's about the overlap. Oh my gosh. Look how smart of a boy you are, Lauren. TNU. Oh no, wait, no. No, it's even better than that. Wait. You absolute psychopath. Alright, 1 second. I'm sorry, this is a horrible tangent. I'm really trying to get better, but also this is like a really cool revelation to me. Okay, and then this is orange, and this is green. And this is yellow. I'm pretty sure that's like the actual TNU logo that I have like on the YouTube channel. But I just made myself so giddy. Oh my gosh. Anywho, that the idea that there is a slight amount of overlap with all of the problems that I've been dealing with in my life and the problems that everyone else is dealing with in their lives. And the idea that if I have this huge collection of 10 solutions that I found very powerful and like healing and helpful to me, and that I can turn that into a grand narrative of ideas that is not merely data points, but a collective, right? Oh, it's so tiny. There. That's cool and valuable, right? I think. Oh. Anywho, I'm getting very distracted. Point being that my goal is to compile all of this shit. Is to like, okay, you've seen 1,000 hours worth of self-help content. Wow. Did you know that's actually that can be a problem within itself, as like just obsessing over the self-betterment with you lose the goal and the value, where the goal becomes self-betterment, and that never mind. This is my problem with talking about anything. But you know what? I'm glad you're here to listen. You, me in the future watching this video, and also probably getting giddy about how weirdly giddy I am about this right now. Point being, what the fuck was my point? Oh yeah, so I have all this shit, right? I have a bazillion things that I want to compile into TNU. I can actually draw it here. Boom. That I want to capture all of these problems and attempt to overlap it. You see like the design that I have here is like, maybe I can find the few people that have the same problems as me that I figured out. And in reference to CJ, the X, somebody that I follow closely and has a lot of this stuff, as well as Dr. K, two very big inspirations to me, is CJ the X referencing one of the creators of Rick and Morty, Dan Harmon, about bliss, which Dan Harmon himself was referencing somebody else. It might have been Campbell. Oh my God. That you should follow your bliss, right? That there's some beauty to what you find beauty in. Crazy idea, I know. But when you have that resonance, when you have that beautiful thing that's like, oh my God, that's beautiful, that it's your responsibility to go chase the beauty and find it and try to catch it and be like, oh, you're mine now, and to gather as much of the beauty and potential out of that thing as you can. And don't try to chase success, right? That there's like chase God, success. Right? Don't be like, oh my God, how do I be a billion follower YouTuber with all the success and fame and bitches and all the other stuff? It's like, no, stay where you are, stay where you find the beauty. I'm going to write everything down just so I have all of my recall. That chase the beauty. Chase, like, something about this web here that resonates with my problems is beautiful to me. That's one big grand picture instead of a billion different little pictures. And it's like, yes, you can break down, here's a Dr. K for you. You can break down the brain into a million different small little tiny working parts of like, yes, you can understand what this tiny little system does in the brain, which is useful, right? It's useful to understand the individual moving parts of the brain, the same way that it is for anything. But that you can lose sight of the big picture whole. And that's like a really interesting thing to my understanding about like Western versus Eastern like philosophy around medicine, but also around other things, maybe. That's like segmentation, deconstruct the whole to understand the component parts, versus understanding the component parts as a whole thing, right? That there's like connection and interaction between all of these parts that are interplaying off of each other. That's really cool. I don't fucking remember why I brought that up. Probably because it's like the whole, right? This thing, this beautiful little watermelon of an obelisk there's a hole, right? And this obelisk like makes a lot of sense to me. And here's another thing. It's like, here's another Dr. K-ism, is like, there's knowledge in two forms. I think there's another Eastern philosophy thing. There's like two words for knowledge. There's information, which is like recordable material, communicatable. It's not a word. Fuck you. And then there's understanding. Which is like, so these two parts. Oh my gosh, I gotta expand my thing. Oh no. Okay. Which are objective and subjective. That one you think in, one think, and one you feel. But feelings aren't just like emotions, it's also like you feel it. And, like, another CJ thing, god damn it, the little rascal. Another CJ thing in referring to Bo Burnham, which is another fucking inspiration. Listen, I'm going to be all over the place. I don't give a shit if that bothers you. Bo Burnham, okay. That a society can feel, that they can have a subjective understanding of something, but it's part of the artist's job in society. No, wait, it's CJ talking about Bo Burnham in the context of a Peterson clip. I don't know if you know who fucking Jordan Peterson is, but he's also a guy. Peterson. Politics aside, he's a psychologist man. Anyway, that the role of artists in society is to take this subjective feeling and articulate it and put it into a medium, to turn the, like, to capture the understanding, to capture the feeling and the essence and the emotion of something in a vessel, into a thing, into an art object. Which, listen, I fucking love art philosophy. It's weird as hell and it's super cool, but I gotta put my art philosophy here. Watch, I'm gonna put my art philosophy back here in my behind the camera, because I love to talk about it in my own time, but that's not what I'm here for. So I'm going to leave it back there. I'm going to leave it back behind my head right now and attempt to get back to what I was talking about. Jesus Christ. Not him. I don't think I have too much on him, except for that wisdom in the Bible is also pretty cool. I'm not getting into that right now, but no, I'm not. Anyway, okay, I'm going to get back to my point. Are you ready? Are you excited? I really want to finish this goal. Okay. The goal of the video was to articulate why I'm here right now, and I still haven't. After 22 odd minutes. 23. Okay. So, to refer, do you see why I'm having a problem making OSL and TNU? Also, TNU refers to this dichotomy right here. Wow. Okay. Welcome to my brain. Okay. I am attempting to articulate the unknowable into a capsule, right? To put it into some form of an art object, right? Which is an art object. Cool. So, in order to do that, I need to gain the ability to take this subject abstract feeling about all of this self-improvement and worldview and all of these other things that are very much just mush inside my brain, and by process of something like this, that I can compress it into... I gotta write down two more. I gotta write down Veritasium and prose and skill improvement. I feel like fucking Khan Academy right now. Skills And then something pretentious. Implicitly pretentious. No, that's not it. It was a different one. Anyway, that there's a video about the beginner's guide that's fantastic that goes over language. And language is a huge thing in my mind. That basically, we have a meat machine that is actively experiencing reality. Right? There's this thing that we call reality, and then through our senses that we get this thing we call experiences. Jesus. But then I'm just gonna draw the whole wheel, because why not? And then our mind processes it, and then we take actions that affect reality. And that's the feedback loop of person to world. Experience, mind, action, reality, or world is what I call it. And this is the WEMA wheel, because it's WEMA. Now that I've gone off on a tangent on the WEMA wheel, that through this also that there's a back connection here that you also experience your mind. That's weird, right? That you can like think and feel, and you feel those things, the internal information. There's also good and bad. Do you see why I don't get fucking anywhere with this project? Okay. Where was I? Language. Welcome to my mind. Nice to have you here. Anyway, okay, so we have experiences, right? Which is like a subjective snippet of reality. But since everyone is dealing with different experiences from reality that prioritize different things and focus on different things and value different things, and through the context of our beliefs, all of this information we receive is run through this good or bad system, and then we have the bubble of experience, right? We see all of these different things, and everyone's seen different trees and different dogs and different everything else to... Okay. One more tangent. That's a lie. There's gonna be a lot. That there's the individual. There's individual experiences. There's the literal, palpable, objective information that we receive. There's evidence. We're going to call it the individual. Evidence and conclusions, a different thing. We'll get to that later. Or not. What is all of this? Yeah, okay. So there's the individual. There's the when we see a tree, that's just information about this brown thing, and then these green things, and then there's the blue thing in the background, and this other green stuff. And then through process of growing up and stop being a baby, that you see more trees and you see more dogs and you see more people, and then you can understand there's this Platonic idea. Plato's a crazy guy. But there's this idea of a tree that exists in our collective understanding. Plato gets a spot on the fucking board. Plato idea. That fucking philosopher. Anyway, that there's this idea of a tree, but our collective idea of a tree, everyone still has individual varying experiences of what a tree is. And that's a simple, easy thing. When we talk about love or pain or good or evil or anything else, there's not a universal system for the objective reality of things. And when we want to communicate with somebody using this language thing, I should probably look up who that is, but you know what, fuck it. Fuck you. Beginner's Guide essay. What is it? Innuendo Studios. Made this great video about language and the beginner's guide, which is one of my favorite pieces of art. Look, it's back there. Anyway, okay. So, when you want to communicate an idea about a specific tree you saw, that you have to take your bubble of experience, all of these things about, it was tall. Okay, there's concepts, right? That we can understand that all of the big brown things with the green things at the top and the brown and the green at the bottom and the blue in the background are all trees, and they're all part of the same collective of an idea, which is a tree, but they're all different, that they're all individual variations of this idea, the same way with a dog or a car or a person or whatever else. So, when we want to communicate an idea, if I want to tell you about a tree you've never seen before, and I want to say it was tall and had rough bark and sharp leaves, and it was blue with purple sparkles, right? That like paints a picture in your head. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the collection of concepts in my head, and I'm turning it into a common language of concepts. I got blue and purple sparkles and tall and sharp. You get the idea. And then you're taking your bubble of experiences, right, that you've experienced blue and purple and tall and sharp. Oh wait, no, I have the tree. Okay, so I have this tree, and it's blue with sparkles, right? That's important, guys. This is important. I saw this tree, and I turn it using all of my concepts into this common language of words, and then I'm hoping that you will be able to draw from your collective of experiences and concepts and understanding of language into an approximation of this idea that I had. But the translation between these systems, and it's even more complicated than that, because I'm trying to predict what you know and don't know, and what your collection of experiences and understanding of words and what they mean and everything else. Jesus. I've basically just explained half of OSL in the attempts to explain why I started recording this video, but I promise it is relevant to the point I am attempting to make. It is not completely irrelevant, and once I lay the groundwork for what the fuck all of this is, I will be able to say the 2-sentence thing that I was trying to say. Which this is also relevant, I swear. So, the goal is for me to take this purple tree. This is my purple tree right here. OSL, this collection of all of these different ideas. I'm literally showing a small segment of them to you right now. That there's all of these ideas floating around in my head. And before it was just kind of, hey, trust me that there's all of these ideas floating around in my head. But now I've laid some of them out for you so that it's not just me saying that I have all of these weird random concepts in my head. I've showed some of them to you. But here's the problem, is that it does not just take following your bliss. It doesn't just take recognizing the beauty and trying to capture it in an art object. It takes skill to do that, right? That I have a goal. I have an intention, which is also a great word. Holy shit. I have an intention, which is an important word in all of this. I have something I want to accomplish, right? I have something I want to do, and because of that, I can determine what is and is not useful based on that, right? So, that means that I can use tools to improve the skill of communicating these ideas, right? So, I have found beauty in this collective of ideas that I believe is kind of this big singular cohesive idea around what it means to live and thrive and be happy. And that really resonated with me. And that's the purple tree. But right now, I don't feel like I have nearly enough the proper language or ability to articulate the tree in order to share it with other people yet. Right? So I don't have enough language around it. And that's part of my own shortcoming, right? So I have it in my understanding, but I can't turn it into objective information. I can't turn it into an art object that can exist without me, as lots of art does before it's finished, right? That it's just an idea in my head. So, I started off the night with my hour of gaming, with a deal that I made with myself to write some for OSL, because I'm subconsciously aware that it takes... I'm also consciously aware, I don't know why I said it like that, that it takes time and practice and effort in order to get to the goal of making this a thing that I am happy and proud of, that I feel can, like, effectively conveys this idea that I have. Right? So, and here's the thing that I believe strongly, is that art isn't whatever, right? Like, all art is subjective, but that doesn't mean that it's all equal, right? That you can still have a goal. There's a few really good solid goal states in art, and art is not irrelevant. Fuck it, I'm pulling it back out. No, that's not it. How do I move stuff? Magic select? No. Selection tool? I'm getting distracted. Point being that art philosophy is relevant here because I'm trying to make a piece of art. A really weird piece of art, no doubt, but a piece of art nonetheless. So, am I getting distracted? Yes. Okay. Art is subjective. It is experiential. But there's a couple of solid ways that you can measure the quality of art. Okay? The first one is induction. And there's a CJVX thing. Love the guy. Love the person. I don't know. In that, you can take what people enjoy in the past, that if a bunch of people enjoy a thing, that means that there's some markable amount of value there that you can take those tools and apply them to the new thing. And that also includes that when you reject those tools, that also means something. That art, like down here, is a language. And instead of it being green or sharp or tall, which are informational communication, that you're trying to communicate subjective, emotional communication. It's a combination of both. And that's super cool. But that you can figure out what tools are useful to doing that. So that's induction is one of them. Number 2 is like, here's a really smaller and arguably iffier value system, but it's still an important one. I think it's still a really useful one to use, which is internal consistency. This is specifically for storytelling. So in a story, if the story tells you that something is true, and then it directly contradicts itself, or conflicts with itself, then that's a markable way to pull someone out of a story. I mainly care about storytelling. That's my art form of choice, which really sucks because I'm not very good at it. As measured by this 42-minute video where I have not explained what I'm trying to do yet. Welcome to anyone who ever tried to talk to me about OSL. So, I'm not going to get into the ego complications of that. I want to contextualize something. I'm very much enjoying myself right now. So I'm putting myself in a really weird state where I'm like kind of playing this character and really diving into my head about all of these things. But legitimately, it makes me extremely happy that I can almost play this character that I am right now, but it's also kind of just me, but also that I can fully invest myself into the world of talking about this. I promise that I am not as emotionally destroyed by my weird ramblings as I make it appear to be. I'm just having a lot of fun right now. Where the fuck was I? I was in the middle of talking. Oh, okay. And then the third thing is that art is a language. It's not an informational language per se. It's an emotional language, which means that through the process of language, that there's an intention. And so, in the intention of the goal state of communicating the idea from my brain into a shared space of language, being the medium, being currently talking and showing pictures, into your head, and hopefully getting my picture of the purple tree as close to your picture of the purple tree, means that I have succeeded in my goal of successfully communicating my idea. So, that means that I have a markable goal and skill to achieve and improve. So in order to make this something that I'm happy with, it requires that I improve my skill of communication, that I could communicate all of these things in less time than 45 minutes. Great. So, I turn to Veritasium video about expertise, because I really like this video, and I think it's super cool. But how it goes is that you have to do a couple of important things that experts do. That experts aren't like more special than other people or smarter than other people, but they simply use the correct tools. And this isn't part of the Veritasium video, I don't think, but there's a really cool thing about a guy who wrote a book about how to consistently become proficient at something. And then he met another scientist that thought it was really cool, and they were like, hey, we should test this out. They just had 3 kids. They had 3 girls, and all of them became chess masters. Wild. Anyway, that there's a lot of consistency to this, and it is not purely just whatever man out of your control, that there's like tools that you can use that are useful. So, here's the 4 things real quick. You need a valid environment. You need something where your actions have an actionable effect on the outcome, and that they are consistent, and that they are actually the thing that you're trying to do. That trying to predict the outcome of a dice roll is not a valid environment because it's not giving you solid and consistent feedback. The other thing is doing it a lot. So when you do something a lot, you get a thing called chunking, where instead of having to manually think about all of the individual little things that you're doing, the individuals versus the collective, it's all connected. Fuck. That the more that you do it, the more that you can collect it into things. So really good piano players are not thinking about every single individual note that they are playing, that they are forming chunks of ideas that they can see variations of, right? That you don't need to see every, like, atom of a person's face to get the idea of happy or angry, or to understand how to play a measure as opposed to a single note or a chord, right? That chords are a great example of a collective thing that is many parts put together. The third thing is timely feedback, and the fact that the faster that you can correlate your actions with a positive or negative response about what happened, that is incredibly valuable to your ability to be able to improve those skills. So if you play certain chess moves, then that will outcome in a win or a loss, and that you can use that information to affect how you did. And then that can affect how you act in the future to improve. And then the other thing is deliberate and conscious practice, where you are actively pushing yourself to the edge of your capabilities. So, the generalized rule around skill is that you have to do something for like 10,000 hours before you can become a master at it. But that's too vague, because you can play Mary Had a Little Lamb for 10,000 hours and not suddenly become a piano expert. You could become an expert of playing that one song mediocritively, but in terms of becoming an expert, it requires actively pushing yourself to move forward and constantly challenging yourself. All this to say that the reason why I started recording this video, where I have explained like 40% of OSL, just to explain what I'm trying to say, is I realized why I've been showing it to people. I mean, I vaguely had an abstract, subjective understanding, it's down there, of why I was doing it, but it came to me in an actual, concrete, I'm fighting so hard not to draw out another diagram right now. Fuck it. Follow your bliss. Follow your bliss. Okay. Listen, fuckers. I'm telling you about a new thing. No. Okay. I promise I'm going to get back to the value hex later of... No, I'm going to find it. Just you watch. Okay. Range and distance. I literally just make one point without getting distracted, okay? That's our deal, okay? Watch as I actively make deals with my internal self. Okay. So, I was fighting the belief that me, was showing off OSL in the same way that I used to prematurely publish videos. Which was, hey, I want the approval of this thing. I do good. And to a degree, that is timely feedback. That is getting the sense of whether or not my art object effectively communicated the idea that I wanted to articulate. But also, it fed heavily into ego. And that's scary and dangerous, and a major reason why I quit YouTubing. Is like, I can't take this anymore. I can't take the outcome-oriented, I haven't even gotten to that, into the outcome-oriented, which is the opposite of intention, by the way. Thinking, that's really dangerous. Right? That this is a dichotomy. Because the outcome is out of your control. It's determined by what you do, by your intention, and the world. It's already over here. Oh my gosh. Right? These are the two primary factors of the outcome. And so to determine your value based on the outcome is poison. Right? The world is not you. You can only do so much. But it still behooves you to do your best. Anyway, that was a big distraction. Point being, ego bad. Ego detrimental to the goals of reducing suffering, if you want to be real specific about it. I don't want more ego than I already have, because I already got plenty. Trust me, I'm good. I'm full. Please no more. And so I quit YouTubing. And then recently I had this grand revelation, which was partially about ego and partially a lot of this stuff. This is a lot of OSL right here that I've been articulating. And I was showing it to specific people, or I was trying to show it to people that I hoped would give feedback. And feedback is really complicated, and I understand that it's really complicated, and it's really hard to articulate. But basically, the challenge that I've been running into is that I've been trying to figure out the thing that I can't really figure out on my own, which is like, is this translation of these this system of language from me, head intention of communication, am I making the right purple tree in your brain that I'm trying to articulate into your brain effectively in a way that resonates with you? Like, that's part of the purple tree, is that it's resonant. And that I've been getting a lot of responses, which is a mark of improvement, but basically that I get, oh, it's good. It's good, makes sense. And that I've been striving for this improvement of skill and figuring out where it's not connecting to people, right? Because there's a big difference in my mind between it makes sense, and oh my gosh, that's wow. And like, not because I want the wow for myself. I don't want to feel better about myself from the wow. I want to share the beauty. I want to be like, whoa, that sunset sure is beautiful. And then people look at the sunset and they're like, wow, it's beautiful. Which means that I'm having a disconnect of communication, right? That my purple tree is not coming out as beautiful as I want it to for other people, which means it's not done yet. Or it's not as done as I want it to be yet. So, there's an interesting complication that I'm running into, which is, Dan Harmon, follow your bliss. Stay where you are. Do the thing as best as you can, and others will find you. People will find, the people who you are trying to reach will find you. And I try to stand by that principle as I am making this. And in that goal, I try to show it to people to which I believe it could resonate with. And on occasion has, right? That there's been pieces where they've been like, oh my gosh, wow. But the other complication of that is that the little fucking, this right here, the red and blue box, that I'm probably just hitting this. Or maybe I'm just not articulating it very well, which is like the main thing. And so I feel like I've articulated this a lot better. That this is what I've been trying to do. And I don't know even now if any of what I've said, maybe it could be like 20% of what I said will make sense to anybody else, or will have the effect or purpose of what I am trying to communicate. I have watched videos just like this that I am recording right now the next day, and I'm like, I cannot follow this man's line of reasoning for shit. What are you talking about? Like, I get the words that you're saying, and I understand the general premises that you're saying, but your goal, your point, what you're trying to convey behind the words, the purple tree, doesn't make sense. And so, what I'm trying to figure out when I ask people, and this is the entire purpose of the video, this is why I started the video an hour ago, is that I'm trying to figure out where I'm having the disconnect between the purple tree I'm finding beautiful and powerful and emotional and all of the other things that art is, why that falls apart when I try to convey it to somebody else. And I have not yet articulated that is the feedback that I am looking for. Because I'm bad at language. As much as I might pretend to not be, I still have an objective marker of success, of communicating in a way that gets my point across, that someone can feed me back my signal words, that I can, it's like radar, right? I can say something out into the void, but until it bounces off something and comes back to me, and I can hear what they heard and understand how they understood it, I can't improve this muscle. I can't improve the communication cycle, right? Because I could just make up words to describe all of this, and it could make perfect sense to me, but my goal is not to make perfect sense to me, it's to make sense to you. And I'm currently failing at that. But I know that I'm getting better, because so far the response has gone from, what the fuck are you talking about, to, oh yeah, that's pretty good. That's an improvement. And I'm not gonna knock myself or feel bad for myself for not suddenly getting to, oh my gosh. And for a lot of people, I'm sure it's just not an oh my gosh thing, and that's something I have to come to terms with. But I know I can get way closer than I am. And I can improve that muscle, and I can resonate with people more, even if the things aren't for them. I want to be able to make all of this make sense to somebody other than me. That's all. That's what I want. So now I'm 2 hours into my 20-minute writing break from Baldur's Gate, and mayhaps I will return to this. You know what? In the future, I'm gonna keep trying this. I'm gonna come back to this specific picture where all of my ideas are laid out, and hopefully I will not have forgotten what all of it means. And I'm gonna use my professional breaking point. It's another term for how to improve skill. Okay. Cool. The professional breaking point is basically just that it is important to reflect on your previous work in order to compound the experience that you've gained around something, or your understanding of something. That reflection is part of that feedback loop of improvement. So these two things are good. These are good. So I'm going to attempt to keep using both of those things to continue to move towards my goal of explaining all of this to you plebs. But I love you all. I love you all a lot. And I am attempting to share this in the hopes that it will make you feel better the same way it made me feel better. I try to do that out of love. I do everything to avoid it being another act in ego and, oh my god, Lauren, you're so genius. So, we'll see. It's a delicate balance, because I don't think I can remove myself from all of this. That my part in the story is part of the purple tree, and if I try to remove part of the purple tree, it's not going to be the thing that I see. But then that's complications with ego. I'm getting off the tracks. I'm too tired for this. At least my anxiety has not wound up like fucking crazy every time I try to record it with my actual cameras. It's a start. And I really like all this. I think this is a nice beginning collage of what OSL is. So, go me. Thanks. Love you all. And bye.